I have been given word that we now have our source at CPAC, which is what I was looking for, the inside track. So I want to find out. We have, it's like spies in the camp. I want to find out exactly what's going on, but from a unique perspective, I think Amanda Head can fill us in, Mercedes, on what is actually happening, how's it going, and what the highlights are, because I think that this is the only moment we've had to kind of refocus and organize ourselves after getting whacked on the head with the election. So give us your discerning and description, Amanda, of what you see the condition of our movement looking like down there in Orlando.
Sure. Well, a lot of people are calling this TPAC, T for Trump, instead of CPAC, because everybody around here is wearing some type of Trump paraphernalia. You guys have seen some of the speeches, firebrand speeches yesterday. Ted Cruz, the mainstream media lit up with outrage over his comment, his joke that he made. He said, Florida's really nice, but Cancun is even better. And they found that to be in poor taste. I found it to be funny. Then again, I'm not a Texan who is suffering from power outages. But Ron DeSantis, when he spoke, the general theme seems to be Donald Trump ain't going nowhere. Don Jr. said it on stage. Ron DeSantis has said it. A lot of the speakers have alluded to that. And I think that, when you had so much support for Donald Trump within the Republican Party, I think it's almost a silly question to ask if Donald Trump is going to have a lot of influence in the party going forward, because of course he is. And he has kind of rebranded the Republican Party. Barack Obama was a behemoth. Barack Obama was a one-man movement, and he did a lot of the things that he wanted to do while he was in office. But the interesting thing is that Donald Trump has changed the party. He's almost changed our lexicon. Because among our conservative circles, when you talk to people and you say, hey, are you a Republican? And people say, well, yes, but I'm this new brand of Republicanism, which is America first. And this is what Republicanism used to be. It used to be fiscal conservatism. Putting America first, protecting our borders, protecting our law enforcement. And I think that a lot of people with President Trump in office thought to themselves, okay, I've been voting Republican my whole life, but this was the first candidate who actually stood for those things that I think we're supposed to be standing for all along. And I think that that's going to be a very long-lasting impact that Trump has on the party.
Yeah, long-lasting. I mean, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because what gets me is this weird Beltway mentality, and I saw it happen during the January 6th debacle, where Mitch McConnell's ratings are now like 20, I think the lowest historically he's ever had, like 23%. What kind of virus gets into your head that you would actually go against Donald Trump? He's told these people are disconnected from the grassroots that put him in power, and I'm convinced a bunch of them wish we would go back and leave them alone so that they can basically let the Democrats run things and they can get what they want for their big money donors. But that could be my cynicism coming out. Tell me about the COVID. What are they talking about regarding COVID and this crazy legislation?
So I will tell you, we are here in Orange County, the mayor of which is a Democrat. So when Ron DeSantis lifted the mask order statewide, they remained in place for this county. So in this entire complex on campus, you have to wear a mask. And I think a lot of people, I came from California, and I was looking very forward to having a few days where I didn't have to wear a mask. But alas, we still do, unless obviously we are on camera. But they are doing the COVID screenings. They ask you all the pertinent questions. If you've been in contact with anyone, high temperature. They take your temperature when you come in, and everybody has a colored sticker that goes on their pass each day, a different color for each day. So they are doing their best to make sure that everybody is adhering to that, which, I'm kind of split on it, because I know that if the mainstream media was covering this and people were not wearing masks, they would portray it a certain way, because that's just what they do. That's their business model. But they are being very strict here, and it's unfortunate for people who come from lockdown states to come here expecting freedom, but then ending up in a blue pocket of Florida and having to adhere to the same mandates that they've been, exposed to for the last year.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, because the beaches, I know, are the same thing. I mean, thank God that we have freedom in Florida at all, but I understand you can't even go to the beach out there. Anyway, that's a personal problem that I've got. Mercedes, what is it about this conference, the CPAC, that you want to find out about? Which I love, TPAC.
Yeah.
Oh boy, am I going to use that.
Oh boy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would love to know what the demographics look like down there. I mean, the news media makes you think that conservatives are all 50 plus, and there's no young people down there. So tell me a little bit about the demographics. Do we have a strong millennial, Gen Z representation down there?
Absolutely. So this is my 5th consecutive CPAC. My first one was in 2016 when I started to become more politically active. And not to be derogatory, but it looked like what you would expect it to look like back in 2016 when rhinos were still running the show. Now it's incredible. I mean, such a young crowd. I've never seen so many young people here, and not just student age kids, but parents who have brought their children, and they are already beginning to instill in them those conservative values and the idea of volunteer activism and fighting for what you believe in and speaking out. And it's been wonderful to see such a young crowd. Tons of blacks, Hispanics, Asians. It's amazing, and it is very, very different. It's a very stark contrast from what it was back in 2016. And you know what's changed? Donald Trump.
I love it. I love it.
Exactly. It's God's chaos candidate. Now I'm hoping that that Donald Trump is going to be telling us how he's going to, we know he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the shaping of the Republican Party. You know, my big concern is that he's not going to he's not going to continue to threaten his engagement as a candidate, because I think as long as he even holds out the fact that he's running, it's going to jerk the slack out of all the Republican Party, because they're going to realize they have to run against Trump's base. And Trump is not by himself. It's him and his massive following. He is the face of the populist movement. And without a populist movement, we can't possibly set back this agenda. Any thoughts on that, Amanda?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, if Donald Trump doesn't run in 2024, which just 20 minutes before President Trump takes the stage tomorrow, the straw poll results will be revealed, and I would imagine that Donald Trump is going to win with double digits. But if he doesn't decide to run, he is absolutely going to be the kingmaker. He has published statements from his office at Mar-a-Lago endorsing candidates, and he is only going to be endorsing candidates who are America first. I do not believe that he is going to be influenced, because what's the point of being influenced by the rhinos in Congress who for 4 years were telling him, you got to appoint this person, you've got to appoint this person. That was one of the mistakes that Donald Trump made, you know, for all of the wonderful things he did. Donald Trump is the type of person that he gives you a chance. If you screw him over, then you're out. But he gave too many people chances to prove themselves, people who were not worthy, and I don't think he's going to make that mistake this time around.
No, and as a matter of fact, he has to actually clean out the party. There's nobody with the power or ability to do what he's going to do. He's got to make that naughty and nice list like Santa Claus, go through those states in the midterms and literally pave a way for the restoration of the republic. We are in a death struggle with the future of America, and I think that as the Democrats continue managing affairs, you're going to see more and more buyer's remorse. It's going to be as though, I know many of us, you said you got involved in 2016 at a different level. All of us have been going through a civics lesson since Donald Trump got on the scene. We didn't fully understand the Electoral College, the state legislators, and you know without election reform, there will be no future for the republic. That the left is planning on stealing every election they can get their fingers on. And Donald Trump alone will call them out. You're not going to see anyone else. And this is where we need him to have a clear lane on election reform. I predict he's going to thunder on that subject about the election. He's not going to be talking all the time about how it was stolen. He's going to talk about how we've got to fix it so that the future is safe, or we won't even have any more elections that are happening in the future. Is that a theme down there, or am I missing it? Isn't that an urgency down there in CPAC?
Absolutely. And it's not just running on the national level. It's not just running for the House of Representatives or the Senate. I'm going to replace this platform with my soapbox because this is something I talk about all the time. Young people, people of my generation, you have to get involved in local and state politics. And I know that those county positions, the state House and the state Senate, I know that they're not, as big and high profile as, national politics, but it's important to get involved at the local level because look at what happened this time around with the election. You had state legislatures who fell down on the job because they didn't have the courage to stand up for election integrity. And that's where it's got to start. It has to start at the local and state level. So for everyone out there who has even thought about running for office ever, now is the time to do it and get involved.
Boy, did you hit the nail on the head. And it drives me so crazy when anybody wants to get involved with politics. It's always the sexiest roles. They want to run for Congress, senator,
right.
governor. And you know right away they're incompetent. They don't even know the language of it. Get in a school board. Get in and if you've got a gift for this, you will be, you'll be like a cork. You'll go right to the top of the ocean. You got to learn the language of the craft so you can compete with these people because they are shrewd and they are ruthless.
Definitely.
I think that should be a requirement for serving in national politics is that you serve at the state or local level because that's something that's going to prepare you for actually listening to your constituents. When you're in D.C., you're not really listening to your constituents because you're thousands of miles away.
And you know what I learned from Steve Bannon? I got this from the War Room. And it's the fact that those state legislators are listening to the business community that put them in. They're not listening to the populist base that put them in. They're confusing that important phone call from the donor with that phone call from the people that could take them out of office. And so we're going to have to actually, as a base, engage our local representatives and shake the tree so that they know we will determine the future where they're concerned.
Amanda,
and just look at the stimulus package, less than 9%. Absolutely.
Thank you, Amanda. We'll be back again in the next segment.
Thank you, guys.
Put our house in order. Thank you.
As a pandemic wreaks havoc and angry mobs burn our cities, LanceWallnau explains why this is happening and takes you into the ancient text he describes as God's Chaos Code. This is the exciting sequel to Lance's best-selling book, God's Chaos Candidate, where he predicted Donald Trump would be president. God's Chaos Code predicts this exact moment in history and what is coming next.
When you're in the midst of shaking and uncertainty, the one thing that can give you confidence is knowing what God has said about the time that you're in. If the Lord tells you ahead of time what's going to happen, you can be certain things are going to be working out. The Lord has given us that code in the Bible. He's told us what's coming in America, what's coming to the nations. He's literally given us the chaos code. We can understand what's happening and be awakened in the midst of it. You need to understand and get this chaos code.
You need to know the code. Order God's Chaos Code now at godschaoscode.com.